They've been whispering about something strange lately, how a certain kind of mind has begun to bend the air around it. Not the kind that throws around statistics or recites clever lines, but the type that unsettles people without saying a word. It's not just intelligence, it's the rare presence of inner alignment that startles even the most composed faces, a perception that sees without looking. It stings those who rely on illusions, and yet it captivates the ones who crave truth, even if they can't name what they're witnessing. There's been a shift in who people go to when nothing makes sense anymore. Not the loudest voice in the room, but the one whose silence unnerves. What others miss entirely becomes visible in this presence. Patterns emerge, motives unravel. It's become clear that this clarity comes with a price. What once stayed beneath the surface is about to surface in public ways that no one will be able to explain logically, yet they'll all feel the impact. Something unseen has cracked open. The atmosphere has changed, not just around them, but inside them. And while others focus on the outer confidence, they fail to notice the internal decision that altered everything. That single act of self-commitment triggered the collapse of illusions and started a chain reaction that can't be undone. You didn't stumble here by accident. You were led. If something in your spirit is stirring, don't ignore it. Tap Join to access exclusive content, prophetic insights, and a community of purpose-driven souls. This isn't just a membership, it's your moment of alignment. Step into who you were born to be. Welcome to the chosen. There's no more space for hesitation now. A certain weight has left the eyes, replaced by calm that borders on unnerving. This isn't arrogance, it's the end of being small, and people can feel it. Some are disturbed by how familiar power now feels foreign. They liked things better when they could explain away the glow as coincidence or luck. That's not an option anymore. The dynamic has reversed. The observer has become the observed. The dependent has become the threat. Someone who once thrived in proximity to uncertainty is now facing something they never prepared for. No more access. The looks are different now. Not curious, but threatened. Not interested, but unsettled. The absence of submission is hitting them like loss. What's coming isn't an argument. It's a reveal. The rising confidence has exposed who never wanted healing, only control. And now that control is crumbling. Somewhere in the distance, something is forming. Protection in unexpected shapes, and opposition in places that were once quiet. There's no going back. What was awakened can no longer be ignored. The kind of inner order that silently unsettles the loudest rooms has drawn both admiration and silent resistance. There are those who operate best when others are disoriented, who've built their comfort around confusion. To them, this quiet precision isn't just unsettling, it's dangerous. What looks like calm from the outside is actually the unveiling of a role long in the making, one that even the bearer has only begun to glimpse. There's a deeper current beneath the calm exterior, a layer of awareness that doesn't just resist chaos, but neutralizes it before it can take root, not through force, but through the absence of confusion. It's not just resilience, it's a silent architecture designed to shield against intrusion. This isn't just a trait, it's a mechanism that's been switched on for something ahead. People are talking about the ability to stay centered no matter what, but what they miss is the reason for it. There's a trial approaching that will expose anyone lacking this depth. The way perception cuts through distraction now isn't just impressive, it's necessary. The instinct to know what's hidden without hearing a word. The strength to stay whole while being questioned. This is all part of a preparation for an unseen test that most won't even recognize until it begins. If your heart overflows with God's blessings, let that love shine. Click the super thank you button and give $20 or more to plant seeds of faith that will impact countless lives. Your generosity reflects His abundance. Be a vessel of His grace and watch His kingdom flourish through you. There's been a growing awareness lately, one that's made certain observers deeply unsettled. Something about the way calculated silence meets chaotic provocation has exposed a deeper game being played. These weren't random disruptions. They were diagnostics. Someone's been quietly measuring the limits of mental strength, and the results are more disruptive to them than they expected. The thinking they encountered wasn't reactive, it was surgical, and it shifted the entire playing field. Behind the scenes, a new narrative is forming, one where people speak of a mind that doesn't just understand, it architects. Moves aren't guessed, they're engineered with intent. Outcomes aren't luck, they're design. What they don't realize yet is that this mental structure isn't just tactical. It's guided by something far older, far wider in scope. There's a system to this vision, and it doesn't require approval to function. There's chatter about alliances now, attempts to include this presence in their plans, not realizing that the path has already been chosen elsewhere. These invitations aren't invitations at all. They're assessments. A quiet tribunal is watching how each gesture is handled, and what happens next will not be determined by popularity, but by alignment. The myth growing around this presence, that it can't be manipulated, persuaded, or flattered, isn't a myth at all. It's the new truth, and it's forcing everyone to adjust their calculations. There's been a massive miscalculation in how this story has been interpreted. What some dismiss as personal progress is actually the surface tension of something much deeper, an invisible current pulling certain hidden forces into exposure. This momentum isn't just noticeable anymore, it's disruptive. There are systems that once operated unnoticed, but that anonymity is vanishing quickly. Why? Because the growing impact has started disrupting what was once protected by silence. It's not just about crossing finish lines, it's about the ripple effect that follows. Beneath the surface of these achievements lies a pattern that speaks louder than results. The methods, the consistency, the precise unfolding of intentions, it's all speaking to a truth few are willing to admit. None of this is random. People who understand influence, real influence, are beginning to connect dots, and behind those dots is a pulse they can't track or control. In quieter rooms, different conversations are taking place. They don't talk about accomplishments, they talk about trajectories. The belief forming in those spaces is that what's unfolding isn't just skill, but something programmed for awakening. And the ones who benefit from remaining hidden are starting to feel the pressure of being seen. Whether they like it or not, the veil's thinning, and what was once kept in the margins is moving towards center stage. There's a growing tension around a life that seems to defy familiar formulas, a shift from lack to overflow, from narrow paths to open terrain, so seamless that it's sparking more than just admiration. Some are beginning to wonder if what they're witnessing is even explainable through standard effort or access. Eyes are on this momentum, not just because it motivates, but because it challenges everything people thought they knew about progress. Something in this story doesn't add up in conventional ways, and that's exactly why it's being studied in silence. You're not here by chance. Feel the pull? Tap join to unlock truth, purpose, and a tribe that gets it. This is more than a membership. It's your calling. There are murmurs now of those who once benefited from ceilings others never questioned. Those systems were designed to keep change out of reach. But something has cracked. The pace of forward motion, the appearance of support seemingly out of nowhere, the unfolding of events too precisely timed to dismiss. None of it fits inside the boxes people were handed. It's become disruptive, not because it's loud, but because it works. Behind the movement is a coordination that feels deliberate, like every breakthrough was an appointment kept. And while some call it coincidence, others have stopped believing in chance. There's structure underneath the flow, as if this upward motion is being directed by a force far beyond personal ambition. The external success is just a signal. What's happening inside is the real transformation. And here's where the old narratives begin to dissolve. This trajectory doesn't just inspire, it alters what people think is possible. It's changing expectations, rewiring hope, and breaking silence around long-held doubts. A larger thread is becoming visible, one that pulls this personal evolution into the context of a wider story. The kind of story that doesn't end at individual triumph, but instead sets off something that travels through others like a coded awakening. The kind that turns ordinary lives into catalysts. There's a type of restoration happening that most people can't quite define, one that doesn't look like recovery, but like reconfiguration. It's not just about learning to feel whole again. It's a reconstruction of inner systems built to withstand storms not yet named. Whispers about emotional renewal miss the velocity of it all, the speed at which old fractures are sealing and becoming stronger than before. What seems like personal growth is actually preparation on a scale that's catching people off guard. This quiet return to self has produced something unexpected, a rhythm that others can't follow. The way attention is now being directed inward, with precision and care, is making it impossible for those who once fed on chaos to maintain their grip. There's a growing unease in places where your pain once served as a point of entry. That door has been locked, and not with a key, but with transformation. Some are unsettled, not by who you are now, but by what they've lost access to. They built entire dynamics around your fractures, and the disappearance of that instability has left them scrambling. Their discomfort is surfacing, and they're preparing to respond in the only language they know: disruption. But they're too late. The rules have changed. Attempts to lower your vibration have started to collapse on impact. Instead of absorbing harm, your system now redirects it, transforming friction into momentum. This isn't just resistance, it's transmutation. What once would have broken you now strengthens you. And this reversal is becoming more visible with each attempt to pull you down. What they haven't yet grasped is the complexity of your new boundaries. You haven't just shut the world out. You've opened the right doors while shielding the rest. You've learned how to hold space for joy while denying access to depletion. And soon, this mastery will be challenged by events that reach far beyond personal growth. The next part of the journey won't just test your strength. It will reveal how many others depend on the integrity you've cultivated in silence. Something has shifted in the way people respond when they're near, something they can't quite name, but can't ignore either. There's a gravity now that pulls different kinds of attention into the same orbit. While some approach with respect and awe, others arrive with motives they can't even fully explain to themselves. The fascination isn't just personal. It's being driven by an undercurrent that defies logic, something written into the fabric of unfolding events. Blessed by His grace? Click super thank you and give $20 to spread His light. Your gift plants seeds that grow his kingdom. Be the blessing. It's more than appearance. There's a calibration of mind, heart, and willpower that's generating a signal. That signal is not just being picked up by casual observers, it's calling in participants for a larger purpose. And while many believe they're drawn by choice, what's really pulling them is alignment. Some are meant to collaborate, others are there to test. In certain circles, it's become obvious that admiration has begun mutating into fixation. Lines have been crossed, not just in thought, but in behavior. There are people whose clarity has been compromised by proximity. Their desire for access has turned into entitlement, and that shift is producing actions that are more revealing than words. Behind these missteps lies something deliberate. Some of these encounters aren't coincidences. They're pressure points, poking at boundaries with hidden agendas, and the outcome, a series of small implosions. The refusal to bend has triggered embarrassment, frustration, and in some cases, withdrawal. But more importantly, it's clarified the message for those watching quietly from a distance. Attempts to influence through charm, strategy, or control have all run into the same wall: discernment. There's nothing available here for those who operate through manipulation. And the realization that genuine connection can't be forced is beginning to unsettle those who once thought they knew the game. Whispers have expanded beyond behavior into environment. Questions are being asked about the private spaces, the energy in the rooms, the sense of calm that seems almost engineered. But what's really being noticed is the intention behind every detail. The space isn't just for living. It's been crafted for preservation. That internal harmony has extended into the external world, creating an atmosphere that does more than look peaceful. It functions as a shield, a system of quiet signals that keeps distortion out and allows resonance in. And this design, once unnoticed, is about to play a critical role in what unfolds next. Because beauty here isn't just decoration, it's protection dressed in stillness. There's a quiet structure being built beneath daily rituals, an unnoticed preparation for an impact no one fully understands yet. The atmosphere surrounding this life has become unusually still, but that stillness isn't emptiness, it's insulation. And those who sense things before they arrive can feel it. Something is circling closer. What once felt like aesthetic choice or emotional balance is now revealing itself as a kind of shield, one that wasn't consciously forged, but instinctively assembled. The way care has been poured into spaces, both physical and spiritual, has become a subject of conversation, not because it looks good, but because it feels untouched by noise. A subtle but intentional preservation effort has been unfolding, and it's now becoming clear. The purpose was never just comfort. The balance that's been nurtured is about to be disrupted, and the place where it's been most carefully maintained will be the first place tested. This calm that's drawing attention isn't stillness for the sake of peace. It's preparation. Those who once dismissed the shift as temporary are now watching with unease. Their memories of an earlier version, the one shaped by chaos, don't align with what they see today. That dissonance is spreading, and it's becoming harder to ignore. Reactions are forming. Some plan to mirror the stillness, others aim to provoke disruption. The current moment is an echo chamber of extremes. The more harmonious the center becomes, the more distortion builds on the edge. That polarity is accelerating, and the outcome hinges on which force can hold its form. The sense of order here has become both a haven and a challenge, a magnet for disruption and admiration alike. There's a frequency being broadcast now, one that resonates far beyond personal insight. It's not just clarity of thought or intuition sharpened by experience. It's a synchronized connection to something vast, something that moves with intention. That link alone has become deeply unsettling to structures that thrive on confusion. Where others drift in disconnection, this presence has begun to align with a system that can't be owned or interrupted. There are layers to this intelligence that few can follow. It cuts across logic and instinct with a precision that unnerves even the most calculated observers. Decisions are made without hesitation, motives are discerned without words, and paths are chosen before others realize there was even a fork. It's not just insight, it's revelation. And that depth is drawing interest from entities who aren't used to being seen through. This isn't power in the way most understand it. It's responsibility disguised as perception. And that responsibility is starting to press in from all sides. Some have been captivated by the calm behind the confidence. Others, disturbed by how little access they now have. Conversations are shifting. What was once curiosity is now caution. What felt like mystery now feels like exposure. There's a turning point approaching, one that demands more than discernment. It requires direction. Whether this force gets channeled inward for preservation or outward for something collective is no longer a theoretical question. The answer will shape the outcomes of more lives than one. It's become impossible to overlook. The way boundaries are no longer explained, only enforced. The silence that follows a misstep now speaks louder than confrontation ever could. The refusal to entertain disrespect has rewritten expectations, and people are beginning to adapt or disappear. That unwavering standard has created a chain reaction. Bonds once tolerated are dissolving. Dynamics once accepted are breaking apart. What others call coldness is actually clarity, and the ripple effect is just beginning. Every connection going forward will either rise to this level or fall away trying. There's been a quiet but irreversible fracture, one that started to redefine the entire landscape of connection. No loud announcement, no dramatic moment, just a series of choices that gradually made it obvious who could stay and who had to go. Now, that invisible line is becoming visible, and its consequences are surfacing fast. Regret is building in certain corners, held by those who thought they had more time, more chances. Their window closed silently, and now desperation is waking them up. But not all reactions are rooted in guilt. In other corners, the air is thick with resentment. Those who once held quiet influence through your uncertainty are feeling exposed by your resolve. Their silence isn't detachment, it's calculation. And what's forming behind that silence is going to force every protective layer around you to come alive. Not all storms announce themselves. Some slip in like whispers and strike like avalanches. Yet in this unraveling, something else is becoming clear. That isolation wasn't abandonment, it was initiation. And now, the convergence has begun. Others who've walked their own versions of this path, the ones who've been misread, mislabeled, and discarded, are beginning to sense your signal, not from a platform, from resonance. They're not theorists, they're survivors, people who've rebuilt their truth from ruins. And when they gather, it's not for performance, it's for remembrance. In their presence, there are no credentials to prove, just codes that match and eyes that recognize. This isn't a crowd, it's a formation. And what sets them apart isn't what they believe, it's what they've endured. There's no need to explain why the world felt hostile. They already know, because they lived it too, and they made it out. Together, This network doesn't scroll past pain. It witnesses, it stays, it answers. The exile had purpose. It removed the noise, long enough for your blueprint to emerge. And now, the standards that emerged from that solitude are making waves across every connection point. Those waves are revealing the empty scaffolding behind behavior that once went unchecked. You didn't call anyone out, you outgrew them. And that, more than any argument, is what's rewriting the entire script. There's a new kind of tension forming around the precision with which lines are being drawn. These aren't rules thrown up in anger. They're quiet declarations shaped by deep clarity. And that clarity has become reflective. When someone steps close, they're confronted with themselves, not a mask, not a performance, but their own patterns made visible. And for some, that's been too much to bear. The discomfort has turned into disruption, and the ripples are starting to reach places where more powerful eyes are watching. Not every encounter is what it seems. Some carry intentions disguised as connection. Some walk in with quiet agendas, unsure if they're even aware of the forces pushing them forward. What's being revealed now is that certain paths were never just personal. They were entangled with larger games, and those games are escalating because manipulation no longer works here. The system is rejecting distortion. Despite the pull from multiple directions, movement remains deliberate. There's no rush to bind where alignment hasn't been proven. Every interaction is weighed, not against fantasy, but against pattern. And that discernment is becoming a lifeline, because not everyone drawn near comes in love. Some are pulled by impulse, others by assignment. This state of truth has created a filter so precise that even the ones pretending to be undecided are being pushed to face themselves. Their motives, once murky, are becoming undeniable. And the closer they get, the more obvious the divergence between illusion and truth becomes. What's beginning to surface now is unexpected. Emotions once mistaken for affection are revealing themselves to be awakenings. The energy surrounding this presence has become a trigger, activating dormant realizations in those who come too close. They think they're falling in love. What they're actually falling into is their own unprocessed longing. That spark is generating beautiful shifts in some and chaos in others, because not everyone is ready for the truth this presence provokes. For some, it becomes a mirror. For others, a battlefield. The same clarity that brings healing also threatens control. And those who profit from distortion are noticing the change. There's a certain precision to the way difficult truths are handled now. One that doesn't avoid discomfort, but uses it as a doorway. That capacity has made this presence a beacon for those seeking something real, something that doesn't flinch when the light reveals what's been buried. But it's also become a source of unease for those who've spent years hiding behind well-constructed illusions. What was once dismissed as emotional resilience is now recognized as a rare kind of spiritual navigation, one that can't be manipulated or blurred. This willingness to engage the unseen has drawn attention from more than just wounded people in need of clarity. It's attracted interest from the very systems that rely on avoidance to keep their grip. The ability to move through the darker layers without collapsing has sent a signal. Someone is capable of exposing what others depend on staying hidden. Whispers have started to gather around this gift, sometimes in awe, sometimes in concern. The deeper the healing reaches, the more noticeable the disruption becomes. There's a shift happening globally. Lines are being drawn, roles are being cast, and the skills developed through raw experience are now being sought by those preparing for what's next. Not for theory, but for actual resolution. The combination of awareness and empathy being modeled here is being watched closely by people who understand that we're entering an era where neutrality will no longer be possible. Some circles have begun to speak about potential, not in vague, future-tense language, but in immediate, strategic terms. What was once private practice is now being regarded as public relevance. And that attention comes with risk. When gifts become visible, agendas respond. What was once simply admired is now seen as threatening by those whose influence thrives on confusion.